relationships are such a special thing. It involves a lot of trust, it involves a lot of sacrifice, and I love seeing people in 10-year relationships, don't get me wrong.
Shout out Chris.
Shout out Chris.
That was such a shout out. If I've ever seen one.
And even this girl from the gym, she's been with her boyfriend for 10 to 11 years, and the key that makes it work is being committed to go through the ups and the downs and the highs and lows and really put in work. And you got to put your partner first. You have to think about what they want in every aspect of your life. And I just haven't found a person that I'm ready to do that for. Right now, I love where my life's at.
Yeah.
Like, I got everything set up. I'm doing pretty good. And I just take things day by day, and I love where I'm at right now.
I think in a relationship, if you're dedicating absolutely everything to your partner, like obviously giving them a portion and a piece of yourself, right? That creates bond, unity, and connection. But like, as someone who just did that, if you abandon yourself too much, you will literally lose yourself in that situation. And I think ultimately can come back as like repercussions for yourself and then repercussions for the relationship.
How do you know you're abandoning yourself, like, as it's happening?
When you start to kind of, my realization was when you kind of start to neglect yourself. Like things like I started valuing time, like only valuing time with her over, you know, doing things for myself. So like going to the gym as I normally did, or going out and hanging out with friends, or spending more time with family, or focusing on specifically like school, or, you know, it literally became just like a sole obsession of work her. All my money went there. And like, that's maybe just a red thing for me. But like, I think at some point, if you are like, obviously put a portion of yourself into a relationship and give yourself, you know, it's a trade-off, but don't forget about yourself, right? Because I feel like ultimately, as time goes on, you need to be able to work and do things for yourself to benefit each other, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah. Dude, that's the hardest thing, though. Like, we were talking about it that night. Like, it's one thing to say, yo, don't look at her photos. Don't go checking up on her IG.
But it's so much easier said than done. Yeah. It's completely natural to wonder how she's doing, right? Like, what is she up to? Because if you're thinking about her that way and you have those feelings, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just how you're feeling, that's life. Going back to what Mike said, at some point you need to, if it's not being reciprocated, you need to accept that and to move on. And there is no set time for how you do that. You do it in your own way. You do it at your own pace, and eventually you will get there.
Dude, the hardest part, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I think if it's someone I'm seeing or someone that I'm interested in and I'm trying to get to know and trying to work on and plant the seeds, it's as if I see these red flags and these moments of, what was that? I don't know if that really sits well with me, but I try to convince myself and I try to make up this storyline, an image in my head of what this person could be, the potential of what this person can be. But in reality, the proof is in the pudding, and what she's doing and what she's saying and how she's acting, and that is what it is. It's not this little imaginary fairy tale thing I'm making up in my mind. As much as I want it to be that, it's not that. And that's what fucks with me, because then I'm like, fuck, I need it. Maybe I can change her at some point. Maybe at some point she'll just snap out of it, or she'll just switch, and it will become what's going on in my mind and how I want her to be. But it's never the case.
And you know what? You're completely right. Like, when you really, really fall for someone like that much, and you like care for someone that much, and you learn all their good values, you kind of can see the best possible version of them. But unfortunately, that's not like, and I've just realized this recently, that's not face value, right? You'll get what you'll get based out of like their actions, how they're actually treating you, you know, how they treat their friends, things like that. It's like if they're not doing what they need to be doing for themselves to be the best version of themselves, then they're not going to become that person, right? And I feel like as we care and love for people, we always kind of look for the best in that person, which is that possible person they can become, like you were saying. But just I've learned, take it at face value. right? Whatever they're actually doing, whatever they're actually saying, right?
Yeah, that is what it is.
Yeah.
There's no, don't look too into it and think, okay, well, maybe she meant this by saying that, or the fact that she's doing that is because of some other. It's like, no, what she's doing is what she's doing. Like, don't get it twisted.
Yeah. There's no hidden meanings in any of that, in anything that's happening. You know, actions speak louder than words.
It's tough, man, though. It's tough. It's tough letting go. Do you guys ever get ashamed of yourselves for putting yourself through that? Even though, like, when you think back on it in hindsight, damn, I did not see the writings on the wall of this becoming an absolute disaster. Or why?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I've never been in a relationship. Well,
Really?
I have, like, I dated one girl for a month. And the reason why is, like I said, it involves so much work. And I think that we're all on our own journey and we're all developing in our own way. And it takes so much time to put into someone else. And I love the idea of a relationship. And I think it's such a beautiful thing. It's just something that I don't think I'm ready for. And I have developed so much over the past 5-6 years. And I just want to continue, like, pursuing the things that I want to go for right now. And the people that we meet along the way shape us. I appreciate every, like, girl that's come into my life because I've always left that situation learning something.
Is that how you think of it?
Yeah.
Every situation is a learning experience?
Yeah. From every relationship, every situationship, and every friendship that has come my way, I appreciate it no matter how it went because I always take something from it and I learn from it.
The ones that went terribly wrong that really put you in a mood, how do you not think of it as, fuck, I can't believe this happened to me. I hate this person so much, to, yo, this is what happened. This is a learning experience. Life goes on. I'm glad that it happened the way it did, and that's that.
Yeah, so I was actually thinking about this on the way here. And it's a bit of a long story, so I'll make it quick. But I met this girl, I want to say about 1.5 years ago. And we met on Hinge. Initial banter at first, and then we were just setting up logistics for a date. And then when I met her, it was like, wow. Like, she was beautiful, funny, smart. She was the complete package. She was like everything that I liked in a girl. And the idea of a relationship was coming through my head throughout the night. And the first date was great. We had such a fun time. We hit it off. And we were talking for about a month after that. We went on a second date, and then we kept talking for about another month. So overall, we're talking for like 2 months, give or take. And then she said to me, you know, you're a great guy. I appreciate everything that you put in, but I'm not feeling it. I don't see a romantic future. I'm going to be going to Toronto for work because she worked at Aritzia in the head office. So she bounced between Vancouver and Toronto. And she's like, I'm going to be going to Toronto all summer. I'll be bouncing back and forth. And then I'm going to Europe with my girls for summer. I just got out of a 10-year relationship and I want to enjoy being single. So pretty similar to a situation that we talked about. And that hurt. It hurt for about like I'm not going to lie to you, like almost 8 months. I dissected everything. I respected her and I gave her space. And like, I just reach out on Instagram every now and then, see how she's doing. From every interaction I dissected, and it hurt for a long time. Where did I go wrong? But I appreciate that experience so much because she taught me how to walk it, how to talk it, how to put clothes on it. Like, she made Avery Lee right now. And in a point, like now this is going to sound bad, but I see girls as seasons. Like, they come and they go, and I really appreciate the experiences in the moment, but I never take things too seriously.
You know what's funny though? Like, not funny, but from an outsider point of view, like when you told me that story, like you gave me all the things leading up to it. You said she got out of a 10-year relationship. Okay, so and once you say that, I'm thinking, okay, for me, this is what I think. Immediately, I don't think this woman wants to get in a relationship anytime soon after a 10-year relationship.
No, and she has every right to do that.
Right?
Right.
So
she has every right to enjoy her time, to do the things that she wants to do, and all the praise to her. Like, I have nothing bad to say about this girl whatsoever. She's like an amazing human, and I owe her a lot because I learned so much from her.
Absolutely. But like my point, Avery, is that she said you know, she just got a 10-year relationship. Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, she doesn't want a relationship right away, or at least anytime soon. 2, she's going back and forth from Toronto to Vancouver for her job. So there's a lot of stress and movement there, right? She wants to go to Europe with her friends for a summer, like a hot girl Europe trip summer type shit. So you telling me these things from an outsider looking in, I could have told you, yo, I don't think she wants anything. But when you're in it, I get it. It's like, this is happening.
It's blinding. And that's the thing is back then I was open to relationships and I saw so much that could happen. And it kind of blurred my perspective on it because I let my emotions rule me in that moment. And I was like hitting her up all the time. And like towards the end of it, like she wouldn't respond for 4 or 5 hours. And I was trying to ignore it. I was trying to like come up with excuses for it because I was so obsessed with this idea. Oh, maybe it could work because I saw nothing but good in her. And to this day, I don't see anything bad in her at all.
It's like Mo and I were saying earlier, you'll always see the best possible version.
I think you see what you want to see.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
It's not so much that the person's special, it's that you make them special within your own mind, right? You're the one who gives them that substance in, or at least value to you, right? At least that's how I feel about it. Like when you're sitting there and you meet someone for the first time, or, you know, it's like the puppy dog phase, right? Like the whole puppy love in the beginning, you know, it's the best possible version, best this, best that. And then, yeah, you just see the best, but you make people special within your own mind.
But why do we do that, Mike? Like, why do we as guys just so quickly put a girl on that pedestal? Oh, this is the one. She's the best. She's everything I've ever wanted. Like, how do we get to that point? That's so emotional. For me, I know because I'm an emotional guy, and within very quickly, I'm there. Mm-hmm. But I don't get why we do that. And
I think it differs between people, differs between reasons. I mean, like, it could even stem from like personal things. Like I've met guys who desire relationships not necessarily because, you know, they're good with themselves and feel like they want to be in this committed thing, but because, you know, either they feel like really, really lonely, depressed, maybe they didn't have like a parent or someone as a child, like just all kinds of different traumatic reasons. But there's also like a lot of good reasons too, right? Like obviously we are innate to want to be with someone, right? It's like, it's part of being human. It's part of the whole experience.
I just want to add to that. Like the last time we hung out on that Saturday, when you were chilling with Drake, shout out. But yeah, me and Mike, we had a little private convo, and it's in our DNA to want companionship, right? At the end of the day, that's what we long for. For me, I'm very selective, like who my friends are. Like you guys are both amazing guys, and shout out Drake and Chris. And I'm so lucky to have an amazing group of friends, the 4 of us, or the 5 of us. But going back to this girl, I saw so many traits that I could relate to. I have never met a girl at that point where the conversation just flowed. Like our energies just bounced off each other. And we only hung out twice. So off 2 interactions, these ideas of relationships in the future, they just kept flooding into my head. And it's completely natural. You know, when you can't control if you like somebody or not. And if they don't like you, it sucks. But that's life.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think, like, learning to accept that, like, and, like, I feel like this goes off the point that you were asking about earlier of, like, basically it's, like, how do you not get super upset when, you know, someone walks away when you had a really good thing going on, or how you don't get pressed about it? I think just learning to accept they're people, too, with their own things going on. You know, and going through that process instead of like instead of coming from a place of hurt and anger about it, where that's more of a personalized thing to you, maybe thinking about it and accepting like, oh, damn, okay, she has her own thing that's going on. You know, she has her own things in life that she needs to work out. You know, she's got a lot of her own thoughts, feelings, emotions, things, and learning to kind of like be okay with that and accept that maybe, you know what, it just wasn't gonna work out.
Yeah, it's not always you. Don't always put that on yourself. Oh, it's what did I do? What am I not bringing to? Am I inferior? Where are my shortcomings? It's not you all the time.
Yeah,
bro. And okay, that's one thing. Like, you know the thing I was telling you guys about, right? Remember I called you. Remember the text we've.
Oh yeah.
Group chat. Yep.
Yeah. The thing is, man, it's so tough. Like, going back on that point, it's always, for me, what did I do wrong? What did I say wrong? Did I say something wrong? Did I piss her off in a way? And I always ask people, whoever I tell the stories to about someone, did I do something wrong in this? Did I do something wrong? Do I deserve this right now? And everyone always tells me, dude, you didn't do anything wrong. Nothing you did, nothing you said throughout this whole thing is wrong by any means. If it was, we would let you know, bro. Like, if you really fucked up on something, we would let you know. And it's always that with me. It's just like, damn, man, did I mess this up? Even when there was this one person I was seeing that was completely her issue, completely her shortcomings and her insecurities and her whatever she was going through, I still put it on myself like, yo, what could I have done better? Could I have treated her differently in this situation? Could I have consoled her a little bit better or went about it a different way, right? But it's not that. Like, at some point, we all gotta value ourselves more. We're like, yo, I said what I said. We went about it the way we did. And if that person is not with it, and let's say they are upset about the way I went about it, that's not on me anymore, right? I got to value and love myself and respect myself to the point where, cool, you don't like the way I said something, you don't like the way I acted in a certain way, you want to cut it off, kick rocks.
Yeah. I think, like, if you were yourself the whole way through, you said what you said, and you were, had your heart on your sleeve, and it ended how it ended, it couldn't have ended in any other better way. You were being your authentic self. She, obviously is going to respond how she's going to respond. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And pretty much that's that, right? Like, I think don't beat yourself up on what could have been. Just take it for what it was. As like Avery was saying, every experience is a learning experience, right? Like, obviously, if she has her own thing that she's going through, accept that. She's her own person. But I always take the time to even if it wasn't like my fault necessarily, I'll always take a step back and think about, okay, what was my part in this though? Like, what could, signs I could have noticed better? What's things that maybe I could have reacted to better? Take everything as like a learning.
And do you take accountability for those things and you voice that to that person?
Yeah, honestly, I take accountability for myself, for my role that, I could have played. But at the same time, I don't let that negate the fact that if I was disrespected, like straight up, if I was disrespected, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, maybe I should have noticed that it was my bad. Like, no. I know my value. I know my worth. You disrespected me. You said some really off-colored shit. Let's talk about it. And why? Like, why did you say that to me? Why? You know what I mean? We have a conversation. But I'm also not going to sit there and take away that, okay, maybe I had a slight role to play,
Mike, okay, so on that where you just said you disrespected me and let's have a talk about it, and you really stand on business on you being disrespected and you're not going to tolerate that shit, how are you so solid in that? Because a lot of guys will fold. A lot of guys will be like, I 100%. Don't like the fact something about what you just said to me is not sitting well with me. I feel a little bit disrespected and I don't know why, but I want to stay solid and stand on business like what you just said, but I'm going to fold. How come some guy, because I've been there. I'm not going to sit here and be like, how come some guys? I am one of those guys that has folded before. And I think back and I'm like, damn, why didn't I just stand on it? And whether that meant she cuts me off or whatever, I'd be okay with it. How come some guys are so good, are not as good as keeping that, just being solid and having the fold? Like, how did you get to that point of just being able, like, yo, you disrespect me, I don't fuck with it?
Well, in all honesty, like, for me, like, I'll use the situation I just had. I was going through months of, not like months. It was more so the end little quarter. things were a little bit rocky. You know, there was this idea that, you know, but we were going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, on and off, on and off. And you know, it hit a point where I feel like she got it in her head that no matter what happened, I wouldn't go anywhere, because I kind of did. Like, no matter what happened, no matter what was said, I'd still go back, right? And that's only because I truly care and love for this person, right? But you eventually hit a point where you just kind of have to put all that aside. Like, it doesn't matter if she walks away. It doesn't matter what happens anymore. Like, you really just have to have the confidence to be able to have that conversation with her, because I totally get it. Like, there's a fear there that if you do that, there will become a negative outcome. So if I don't say anything at all, I can keep this little slice of happiness and this little dream of mine, and nothing bad is going to happen to it. But then at the end of the day, that's what keeps it a dream, right? It doesn't make it real. So if you actually go into it and you like respect this person and you want to stay on the same like values and level as this person, you have to have that communication. You have to have those talks. I didn't like when you said this. That made me feel like this. This is why. Then you base it off of there. You continue going. If she had something that she didn't like that you said or did, you talk it out, and then, you know, you move on and you compromise and you learn for the next time, right?
100%.
And hold on. You're okay, that fear aspect of letting her know about it and saying this and that, disrespect, I felt like I got disrespected by you saying these things. You're okay with her getting upset or feeling some type of way about that and leaving you, because ultimately that's the worst case scenario. You having that conversation with her and be like, and her saying, fuck you, Mike, I don't like the fact that you're bringing these things up. I don't agree with you. I think we should cut it off. And you have to be cool with that. Well, then, because that's the worst case scenario.
Yeah, no, at that point, you kind of got to think like, okay, if you're not going to respect my word and respect how I feel, how you made me feel, then clearly you don't respect me. Meaning that ultimately, yeah, I might be super in love with you. I might like be super or even infatuated or care about you or anything like that. If we can't have a cohesive situation where both parties are being respected, unfortunately, I know my worth enough to where I can't stay. Like, it's not a matter of like, oh, I want to. Like, even if I want to, I can't, because that's not healthy for anyone, right? Eventually that leads to a point, if I'm constantly being disrespected, either my mental's going to get fucked up or I'm going to start being rude to you. I'm going to start treating you horribly, like just not even based out of wanting to, but just out of like because sometimes I get bitter. I get bitter, or I get, you know, and obviously if you're having repetitive, constant being treated like shit, or even like
rightfully
disrespected,
so.
rightfully so,
Yeah.
right? So you kind of just really, and if you got to think to yourself, if that person truly does care about you, if you bring that up and have that conversation, they're not going to shy away. Right? You're going to be able to have that back and forth cohesive conversation where you both figure each other out, you know, like, okay, you felt like this when I said that, and I felt like this when you said that. Let's move forward and have a better like situation later, you know, because things aren't going to get resolved unless you talk about it, right? You know, you can sit there and you can hope and pray to God that maybe one day they'll realize your value, but until you actually say something and stand your ground and stand on business, nothing really is going to change, right?
Mike's so grown. Because do you know what it takes?
Yeah, I mean,
it takes so much, because I think that when you get to that point, when you find that person, when you see something special and you want to build, it can be hard, especially like in the early stages, it can be hard to voice a difference in opinion. Like, I don't like the way you did this, because a lot of girls will justify, and then you don't want to go through a fight. You don't want to go through that drama. You might justify just taking it on the chin. But polarization is so important for relationships. Finding that difference and hash it out and move forward. Because that's how any kind of friendship, any kind of long-term relationship goes a distance.
Well, I feel like that's how you do every relationship.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean, or it doesn't, like, I feel like the only thing that makes romantic relationships and things a little bit different is that kind of fear, right? Especially in beginning stages. Like, I feel like in beginning stages, when you first kind of meet someone and now you, like I said, puppy dog phase, you're infatuated with this person, you know, you don't want to lose them because it makes you feel so good, right?
But you don't want to be stuck.
No.
You don't want to be stuck in a toxic spiral.
No,
You don't want to be stuck in just an endless like black hole either.
Yeah.
Getting these little red flags and these toxic things happening to you and just kind of dismissing them. Okay, I'll put them on the back burner. Okay, I'll put them on the back burner. And I think it ultimately comes down to the fear of losing that person.
Yeah.
Like that's what it really comes down to. Whether for me, it's like friendship, situation, relationship, whoever. I think it's the fear of, yo, if I stand on my 2 feet and dig my heels into what I'm gonna say and what I stand for, I gotta be okay with this person saying, yo, I'm not with it. See you later.
I feel like at that point it becomes a question of how much do you value yourself and how much confidence do you have in your ability as a man, as a person, right? Because like if you love yourself at the end of the day, and I mean truly love yourself with every aspect, people can come and go and you're still going to be you, right? And you know what? And I don't think when people leave, it should be a negative experience. It should be a happy experience that it even happened at all, that they were able to make you feel happy, that you were able to have that moment in your life, and now you're going to move on to another moment, right? Another chapter in your story.
And I think that when you are unapologetically authentic to what you believe in and how you, like, you know how you want to be treated, I think that girls respect that and they admire that about you. And I think those things is what makes any kind of situationship, relationship, make it to that long-term point.
100%.
So
Even if it's something, even if it's something that they don't agree with, right?
yeah, exactly. Like
if you're on a
create polarization like that, like you voice your difference in opinion. If it's something minor or something major, if it's meant to work out, it'll work out. But if you don't, then you're gonna be unhappy.
That's why you got to come to
any
compromise.
kind of situation.
That's why you got to come to compromise on things. Like you guys aren't going to agree on everything.
Yeah.
Right? And as time goes on, I guarantee you, either one of you is going to hurt the other one's feelings, one of you is going to feel betrayed, one of you, and that's just like a part of being a relationship. Like how many friendships have you had or even family relationships, and at some moment, some point in time as you go through with each other, do you feel a little bit, I didn't really like how you said that about me. Oh, I didn't, that didn't make me feel very good. Or, just anything kind of like that. It's going to happen. It's just whether or not you can come to the compromise and like I said, have the communication to be able to move past it and kind of figure it out.
I think honestly it's easier said than done. I think it's just with experience, just that keep happening, which sucks. I mean, because without it, without it happening all the time, repetitively, you're not. It's like anything else, repetition, losing people, being honest with someone else not liking it. Oh, okay. Like Mike, what got you to the point where last night you said you had it, right? Like what was that? Why did it happen last night and not 3 weeks ago, right?
Because it's finally hit a point where, as much as like, and honestly, I can say, I'd die for that girl. Love her to pieces. I've never had, like, as far as family, friends, anything, I've never had that deep of a connection with someone, and both of us feel that same way. It's just the circumstances of where we both are in our lives currently and the way that we value ourselves. Not necessarily like, we value ourselves in a positive light, but there's a lot of negative things as well that we haven't worked on, that it just wasn't going to work out. Eventually, it hit a point, even though I totally would stay, I'd want to stay, and I'd want to keep fighting for it. It just hit a point where, my mental was taking a toll, right? I wasn't feeling very good about myself. It had me questioning my own place. Like it had me questioning all kinds of things about myself, like my confidence, my, ability to stand on my own 2 feet, because eventually I was like, why are we doing this back and forth thing, right? Like if I really valued myself that much, why am I still coming back every single time? Why am I still crawling back every single time, right? Like at that point, you kind of take a hit, personal hit, mentally, and your confidence, and just all around. You eventually hit a point though where it happens so many times to the point where you just can't take it anymore. You're like, it's either I leave, and if I don't leave, I stay, and I pretty much in this case lose my fucking mind, right? So and
there's a
lose
bit of
myself.
exhaustion there.
Yeah,
mental
100%.
like fatigue. Like this is it. and I feel my mental wherewithal deteriorating.
No, 100%.
That's what it has to come down to, and that's unfortunately sometimes what it has to come down to, where you're just like, I'm out of energy, I'm exhausted, I can't.
Well, I feel like, honestly, I don't think it should come to that, but for some people, like myself included, I'm very bad at learning my lessons, and I'm very bad at, unless it gets serious and I start really feeling it, that's when I learn my lesson, right? And that's when I kind of accept and I go, oh, okay, I move on, do my thing. But just when you go through that once, I feel like taking the learning experience of it and realizing the signs. So if you ever go into a situation similar, being able to then stand your ground, right? And then have those conversations, realize this, okay, this is reminding me of this time with this. Maybe I should look deeper into that. Maybe I should think about that. Maybe I should have a conversation with this person, right? And then going from there.
Right. This is something I've seen before. Okay, this kind of looks familiar.
Yeah.
Right.
Mike, you should be on Love Island. The way you talk
Love
about
Island?
you should be on Love Island. The way you talk about connections and dealing with heartbreak and
Well, I mean,
and talking about boundaries.
Well,
Love Island producers, this is your guy.
This is the guy, man.
Season 7, let's go.
No, but you're ahead of the curve, man, and it's very impressive.
Well, I've had a lot of, like, as far as family, friends, like for example, I used to have this friend that I've known since I was like 5 years old, right? 5 years old, and our whole childhood, I always kind of, like, even though we were the same age, I always let him take the reins on everything, right? Like my security with myself, I was a very insecure kid. Like, I didn't actually, like, speak up a lot. I didn't do a lot. I kind of just, like, I felt like as long as people liked me, it was cool. It was all good. So I let him take the reins on everything. And as we got older and older and older and older, we eventually hit a point in high school where, and I'll always remember this, we were talking one day and he goes, Michael, you should be really thankful to me. I was like, why? He's like, because the group of friends we have now, if I didn't invite you to that party, you wouldn't be friends with any of them at all.
Whoa. What an ass
You don't, you don't owe anybody anything.
No, but that's what I mean. And, like, that was a guy that I valued for a long time as, like, my best friend. Like, I never separate. Knew him since I was like 5 years old. We known each other for years and years and years. And then it eventually hit a point where, like, I sat back and I thought about it, because I started growing throughout high school and, things like that, my own independence, my own, like, confidence and all that. And I realized, I was like, damn, he kind of was putting me under his foot the whole damn time and treating me like I was, second best or, like, in the background. And, like, when we were alone, we're best friends. Like, what's up? Like, never separate. But then when we're around other people that he now values higher than me, he would switch up on me, right? So things like of that nature, I had to let him go, after years and years and years of friendship. Like,
yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Like, I can't.
I went through a really similar experience, and I'm not going to talk bad about the guy, but when you're in the moment like that and you have that bond with somebody, it's so hard to walk away from. It's so hard to, like, ignore those red flags. But at the end of the day, it takes a lot of growth and it takes a lot of self-reflection to see the good in yourself, not just what this person contributes to you. Because, like, you got so many good traits about you, and you deserve to be treated in a good way, in the way that you respect other people needs to be reciprocated. And when you do walk away from that, it's like a weight that's been lifted off your shoulders.
I think a part of it too is being with someone, like a friend or a relationship, a girlfriend, being with that person for so long. There's a bit of, like, habit and routine that you're so used to this person, right? So there's that aspect of the withdrawal of having that person there all the time, texting you, having someone sending you a good morning text and good night text. Like, all of that is a part of it. Like, the detox from this person and the communication and the attention. Like, that's a part of, I feel like that's like a physiological and biological brain thing that people don't talk about. It's not just cutting that person off and saying this person ain't good for me. It's just having been used to this person
100%
for so long, right?
I feel like you get used to routine, right? So when you get used to routine as far as anything in your life, and then there's an immediate switch up, that change is going to be uncomfortable. That change is going to take some time to get used to where you find your new routine and you can move forward through with that. right? Because now that person's no longer part of your routine. That person's no longer a part of your, you know, day to day.
That's what it was like for me. Like when I ended my friendship with that person, we were talking like 2 or 3 times a day, and he was a really close friend of mine. But when it ended, it did suck for like about a month or two, but it gave me a chance to go and explore new friendships and to meet new people. And looking back, and I was terrified about losing that friendship for a year before it happened. And I would unleash some of my insecurities onto him, and I think that's what built up in that friendship dissolving. But looking back at it, that helped shape who I am now.
Yeah, well,
And I'm grateful for that experience. I'm super grateful for that friendship because I learned a lot about growing as a person and meeting new people and interacting with other people. So I always look back at like these little experiences as learning curves and stepping stones to growth.
But Avery, okay, one thing on you talking about relationships and how you aren't really looking for anything right now, and you're good with how your life's going, you're growing, you're doing your thing, this and that. I think there is a part of it, even when you were telling me about the story about the girl you were seeing for a couple months, I think you are genuinely really hurt from that, and that's kind of made you, there is a barrier that you've put up. And with that, I can tell you're also picky with the person that you want to be with, and you know, if you want to go on a date, things are going to turn you off immediately. What do you feel like you have more of a like a heightened spidey sense for red flags, or do you have more of red flags now?
I'd say so. Like right away, I look for the depth in a person. I look to see how genuine they are, and I never rush a date. I always just go with the flow. Whatever happens will happen. And when I take that point of view, I always end up seeing them again. But when it comes to like red flags, I think the biggest one that I look for is honesty. Like, are they lying to me?
How would you know that though, off the first or second date?
You don't know right away. But I always pay attention to key details, and I can figure out by the second or third date if things don't match up.
What are some details? Like, what are some examples? Because I feel like guys need to know, right? When they go on their dates, when they're listening to this, when they go on their next first date from Hinge, they can think of they can have these things in the back pocket. Like, yo, okay.
I was seeing this one girl about a couple years ago, and she told me all these things about herself. Like, she used to work for an insurance company. She sold home insurance. She was a real estate agent. Within a week, I found out that she was never a real estate agent. She worked as
fraud. Full on. Out of all things to lie about.
She said that she owned 3 properties. Her dad owned 3 properties. She never even lived in them at all. They were in her dad's name, not her name. They just shared the same last name.
So she just wanted her status to look higher than what it actually was in your eyes.
Yeah, and then she tried to play on my emotions a bit. She said that she watched her brother die. I ran into her brother like 6 months later.
Oh,
okay,
dude.
Yeah.
What?
Why would she even make that story up about her brother, dude? That's unruly.
That's the thing is, you know, there's so many types of people out there. She turned out to be a pathological liar. You know, I'm not mad at her. Like, I've got nothing bad to say about her. She has her own set of issues that she needs to work through. But like, that's a learning experience. Like, I look at that, I'm like, oh,
clearly, god damn it.
Oh, I'm about to match your energy real quick.
Yeah.
It's hot in here.
Yeah, I know, dude. It gets
off.
fucking. Oh, dude, this guy's just
Tarps off.
Put Nelly on the track.
Jesus,
Oh
this
god,
guy's decked out.
I'm sweating.
You know what though? I think I can add to Avery's what you're saying, like things to look for when on dates. I think like really listening to what they're saying. Like obviously, yeah, listen to what your date's saying, this and that, but like really listen. And then later on, kind of just cross-examine the information that you're being told, right? So like it's hard to keep up a lie for a long period of time unless you're like a goddamn grade A manipulator. You most of the time there's gonna be slight cracks that you can find.
Yeah,
you know, and eventually there's gonna be a point where you'll realize.
And you know what's crazy, dude? As much as texting is toxic and it's overrated, a lot of the devil is in the details through text.
Yeah.
Right? Like when I look back on text I sent that me and the girl I was seeing before, and when I read it a few times, I was like, damn, I did not see that. Like I totally misread this. I did not even see this happening. It's crazy. But when you're in it, your mind is making up these whole other things. Like this is, oh yeah, she loves me. She's into me. But then when you reread it like 2 or 3 months later, it's like, bro.
That's the crazy thing about texting though, because texting is an emotionalist language. Like you take it as how you perceive it. And you know, because like it's different. Like you and me are having a conversation, you can feel my energy, you know how it's coming out. Texting, if I was texting you the same shit and you were angry or you were pissed off or you're having like a rough day, you might take it in a different way than I intended. Right? So it can always kind of get mixed up and lost in translation.
But you know what's insane? Like I would show those texts to my buddies and they'd be like, dude, are you reading this? Are you kidding me? Do you not see it? Do you not see it? And I said, no, man. She's so into me, dude. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, how? This is full on flirting. And they're like, bro, this is the worst conversation I've ever read.
Yeah.
But in the moment, I think it's the greatest combo ever.
I think because like there is no emotion, there is no tone, especially like if we really like this girl, it's so easy for us to convince ourselves that it's going one way.
I'm interpreting it the way I want to.
Yeah, we interpret it as going the way that we want it to when it's on a train going the completely opposite direction. Like, for me, I can't really relate to that because I don't text girls. I call them on the phone. So
you are a caller.
I always call people on the phone. I only text people when it's like I call her FaceTime. I only text people to plan out logistics. Like, okay, yeah, we're gonna hang out. All right, meet me here. Or yeah, come over at this time. Or hey, I'm leaving my house in 10 minutes. I'll be there in 30. When relationships or situationships, I should say, end on my part, I can't look back at it because I have like nothing to look back in text.
Don't got the archive.
I'd have no receipts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's a tough world right now for dating and.
It is, man. Everyone's either got a fear of this or an insecurity about that, or, you know, oh, I want to go work on myself and do this. And I'm like, respect, you know, same thing. But like in my mind as a relationship, right? Even if you're not 100%, I'm not there to save you. I'm there to grow beside you. And as we grow, if we separate and things change up along the way, then that's the way it goes. But it doesn't mean that I'm, you know, still not going to be present and support you. Like, obviously, I'm not here to fix all your problems. That's on you as a person. But if you need help and you need support, I'm here for you. And I expect, you know, same thing, vice versa. But let's grow together. And if we grow apart in that process, that's life.
The thing is, though, Mike, like, we're talking a lot about being with someone else and growing together and complimenting each other, this and that. But I think what's missing for guys, and for me at least, I mean, you guys know, I've voiced it many times, you know, even at Drake's house that on Saturday night, it's the letting go and having the self-respect to say to yourself, yo, this is messing with me. Like this, at this point in time, whether it's my fault, this person's not happy with me or whatever, whether it's my fault or it's her fault, I need to set boundaries. Like, this is the biggest thing for men right now, bro. Like, we suck at setting boundaries.
I agree.
Including me.
I agree. And I want to know, how did you get to that point? Like, you say that your situation is good now compared to like 2 Saturdays ago when we all hung out.
Yeah.
How did you get to that point where you were able to be like, okay, this is not being reciprocated, I'm going to take a step back?
Well, man, I also don't really want to like air her out because I know I love this, but this person's great. She's awesome. I'm never going to talk shit about her. She's taught me a lot of things.
Yeah. No, and all the praise to her.
All the praise to her, right? All the love to her. And I always voice that. We're always honest with each other, right? I think what was messing with me was, it's always like I said, it always goes back to, what did I do wrong? What did I say did I do something wrong here? Was I a little offside by doing these things or saying these things? Did I come off a little hot by sending her this text, right? And I think that, and remember, Avery, remember the incident I told you about when I called you?
Yes.
That was on me. That was on me, and I took full accountability for it. And all I could really do in that time was say sorry, say my piece, and that's it. Like, that's all I could really do. I mean, what's done is done. I mean, I can't go back in time.
That happens, you know. We're all gonna say things that don't sit well with somebody. Like, Mike and I are friends, and this hasn't happened yet, but I'm sure I'm gonna say something that doesn't sit well with you. And
Yeah, it's like I said
you know what?
before.
It's a
But the
speed
thing
bump.
is,
like you'll move past it and you'll forget about it.
But here's the thing. Let's say you say something to Mike that Mike doesn't like. Yeah. Mike just does not fuck with it. He gets fully offended from it and disrespected. You say to Mike, hey man, I didn't mean it that way. My tone was off. It was a total miscommunication. My bad. And Mike is still upset with you. How do you go about that? Like, he accepts it. He's like, okay, I got you. Yeah, miscommunication, bro. All good. But you can still visibly and evidently see that Mike is not happy still. What do you do? Are you like begging for him? Like, dude, like.
It's so hard to answer that question because Mike is very in tune with how he's feeling. And Mike is not the kind of guy to hold grudges. Mike is the kind of guy to, like, if I were to say something to offend Mike, most likely Mike and I would have an hour-long chat. We'd hash it out and we'd move on. But to answer your question in that situation, I think that I would just give that person space and then reach out and then do something to show that I am sorry for what I did to offend that person.
Okay, and what if that person...
that they can accept that.
And what if they still can't?
If they can't, just give them space until they're over it.
And what if they never get over it? They're just like, oh, it's something, it doesn't feel the same anymore. I don't know, it kind of just...
Then I would just move on.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Because then it gets to the point of self-respect.
Yeah,
why do
exactly.
I have to keep begging for your friendship, your companionship, your love?
And as humans, we do make mistakes. And we own it. And I know, like, on a scale of, like, how bad I fucked up. And let's say it's a 6 and that person can't get over it. Then I move on. And if it's a 10, like, I'll probably do something to show that person how sorry I am. And if they really can't get over it, then I show respect by giving them space. And they'll have my number. They can reach out and be open to hearing what they want to say at that point in time.
And that's all you can really do.
That's all you can do.
I think, like, there's a part, like, to add is if, for example, if you and me got into something, I felt disrespected as a person, you kind of have to think, okay, how many times has this happened? How many times, you know, based off that person's character. And if you come to me and you say, oh, I'm sorry and this and that, I sit there as a person and consider, okay, this isn't a normal experience, like, thing that happens between me and Avery, right? Like, I know he always usually respects me. Maybe it's just a one-off thing. And I feel like that as a person, that's kind of how you get past that. But it's like, if it's constantly happening all the time, you as your own individual, you as someone, you have to stand your ground eventually. Like, how many times is this happening, right? And if it's happening too often, that's when you kind of, I feel like you have to walk away. But if someone walks away, even when you say sorry, even when you, like, show them, hey, I'm truly, I feel like shit about what I did, and they're like, no, then, like, do I really want that type of person in my life where I can't have a cohesive conversation and talk things out? Do I really want?
Can't beg anyone.
Do you want a
what am I
friendship
gonna be?
where one person can't handle the one mistake that you make?
Well, and the funny part is I don't even think that's necessarily on you. I think that's on them as a person and their own insecurities and their own
I think it shows how
shit
much
in their head.
I think that it also shows how much they value that friendship. If they can't handle one mistake, they don't value the friendship that you do.
100%.
Especially if you're showing and you're putting effort. Hey, I'm so sorry for what I did to disrespect you. I will do my best to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And especially if it was a one-off,
That's
going
what I
back to
mean,
what you're
right?
saying,
It's like,
they
so
don't
what?
value you as much as you value them.
No.
And then
100%.
going back to what you said, Mo, it's time to have some self-respect and move on.
And there is a grieving process in that. With all of this, like losing someone,
Oh yeah.
right? There is a grieving process of, okay, that chapter is closed. And I think for me personally, the hardest part of me cutting someone off, it's not the cutting that person off, because I know it's something that needs to be done and I can't be with this person anymore because of the toxicity. It's the aftermath of the grieving, of checking up on them, going on their photos, their Instagram, seeing who they're messing with now, asking their friends or asking my friends how they're doing, this and that. That whole part after it, right? Like the tip of the iceberg is the cutting that person off. The whole thing underneath it, the big ass fucking iceberg, the whole thing is the grieving. That's the part that, like the shit that we see on Instagram, like the corny ass meme, sappy ass shit. Like that's the shit that that's what I'm afraid of. Like, and bro, and that's a reason why I have such a hard time cutting someone off in a situationship or like a partner, is because I know I'm like, okay, brace yourself, Mo. You're going in it now. It's a different dimension. Once you cut them off, cool. Now the grieving process, checking up on them every day.
I think best way to get through that, honestly, is just, and it's so much easier said than done to not think about it or think about that person, because you will. It's gonna happen, and I think the easiest way to get through it is don't fight it, just accept it and kind of continue on with it. Eventually, it's like time heals all wounds, but scars don't fade. Right? So you'll always have that memory. You always have that. It'll just get a little easier as time goes on. And I think the easiest way to kind of jumpstart back into it is really start taking care of yourself, right? Like go to the gym, start focusing on work a little bit more, maybe take up a new hobby, even something as simple as like making sure your house is clean. Like just making sure, keeping your life in order and organized and really looking after yourself. And I wouldn't necessarily say like, it is technically distracting yourself, but
it keeps you from sitting in it.
Yeah, it keeps you from sitting in it. It keeps you doing things that are positive and beneficial for you. And at the end of the day, if you are talking to someone and you break it off and you say, oh, I need to leave to benefit myself, or, that person sits there and goes, oh, I just don't think it's going to work out because I need to benefit myself and I think you should work on yourself. I kind of think you're doing them and yourself and them an injustice by not working on yourself, by not becoming the best possible version of yourself that you could be. So that's my only way that's what I've at least done every time to then move forward from a rough situation like that. All rough situations in my life, the next step I'm going to do is keep working on myself to be even better.
It just, fuck man, it sucks when in doing all those things, like going to the gym, cleaning your house, picking up a new hobby, you're doing all these things, but in the midst of it, you're still thinking of them.
It's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough.
They keep popping up in your head.
And at that point, one thing that I want to say is self-improvement is huge. And I know you, Mo, and I know you, Mike, and you guys are always looking for a way to better yourselves as people, and that's what attracts me to you guys as friends. But one thing that we don't talk about is bringing that into relationships. What you don't want to do is find ways to change or improve yourself to fit into a girl's life when she's not reciprocating that to you. Like, oh, what did I do at dinner on Tuesday night? Like, what can I do to change that? If it's meant to be, then she'll accept you for the way that you are, as long as you are being yourself and improving yourself to your own agenda.
Do you want your partner to accept the way you are trying to improve yourself? Unless you have examples, right? Because like for you to be improving yourself, like you go to the gym, you're working, right? You're doing all these things, right? And if a girl was to come in your life and compliment that, how would they need to compliment that, or how would they be restricting you from accomplishing those things, right? Like, say you're going to the gym and she says, oh, well, why are you going to the gym? I want to spend time with you. Is that an example of, it's a very simple example, but is that?
Well, going back to what Mike said, relationships are all about compromise. And I think it's important to have like a balanced view of everything, because like balance is key to everything. Like, for example, if I go to the gym, let's say 5 times a week, and she goes to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, or she's doing her own thing, like if she's going to like kickboxing or doing whatever, and she just says, hey, could you take a day off for today? I just want to have a night where I had a long day at work, I had a long shift, all this shit happened. I don't want to be alone, but I want to be at home. Yeah, I'm willing to set that aside, go spend time with her, because while you don't want to give up everything in your personal life, you need to make sure that person feels valued.
Well, I think
if you do value them.
I think another way you can go about that is doing things together. Like if I'm going to the gym and you go to like if I go to the gym and even if you don't go to the gym, how about come with me? Experience this with me, right? Maybe you might like it. If you don't like it, then you don't, you know? Or if she already goes to the gym, great. You guys have something in common, go together, right? Like you can do, I feel like you can do the things that you enjoy to do together, and you can find a way to, you know, you'll always find time to, you'll always
find a way to make it work.
Yeah, you'll always find the time for someone if they matter enough, right? Always.
Do you think the only way a guy can get to the point of full self-respect and boundary setting is to go through pain after pain and rejection
100%.
and
I agree.
and
trial by
heartbreak?
fire.
That's the only way, right?
100%. I think it hardens you, right? Like pain is one of the greatest teachers of all time. It's like, oh, I stick my hand in the fire. Ouch, that hurt. I'm never touching fire again, right? Like, or at least in being safe with it, right? It's the same case with pretty much anything in life. You know, you kind of have to go through a bit of hardship. But that's where hardship becomes awesome, in my opinion, because you can't have, you couldn't recognize really good things in your life if you didn't go through horrible shit before to get there, right? And it makes you value it that much.
And I
more.
think it also gives you confidence too, because when you go, especially if it's something that you're afraid of losing and you do lose it, it's never as bad as you think it was going to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
For me, like when me and my friend of 5 years, when we kind of just drifted away and took a step back from our friendship, I was terrified of losing him as a friend. But when it finally did happen, it was probably one of the best things for me because it allowed me to venture out, meet new people. It's never as bad as we think it's going to be.
And we have that confidence in saying, I got through that.
Yeah.
That thing I was so scared of and worried about. I got through it. It sucked ass. Don't get me wrong. Like nothing about it was easy by any means, but here I am. I'm still standing. I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
Like that in itself is
It builds your character as a person every time. Every time. Through every bit of hardship, everything, you'll be able to then, you know, when something bad, another bad day comes along, you're like, oh, whatever, it's just another bad day, we'll get through it, right? Eventually it hits that point. And sometimes there's some things that happen where you feel like the world is fucking burning down. You feel like the whole world is ending. You'll get through it, right? And you just got to keep going.
Yeah. And just adding to what you said, Mike, like I've probably been in like 10 failed situationships and 1 failed relationship. And I don't think of myself any less than that. If anything, it's given me more confidence going to the next one, because it's like, okay, I've been through this. I can get through this.
And if this was to end, I've
gone
through 10 different other ones. I can get through the 11th one.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
You hit the nail on the head on that one.
Right.
100%. You know, it's like I said earlier, honestly, it's one of the greatest sayings I've ever heard is like, time heals all wounds, but scars don't fade. I love that saying because as time goes on, everything heals. But now I have all these scars that I can look back at when another one comes along my way and be like, you know what? I got all these. Let's add another one. Screw it. Who cares? We're going to be fine anyways. We'll be fine. Just keep pushing through, right?
You're like Michael B. Jordan from Black Panther. He's like covered in like battle scars.
Well, I got a few, but.
Yeah, we all got a few.
100%.
I remember telling that to my friend once. I'm like, dude, I would never wish this upon you, but it wouldn't be bad for you if you got cheated on. I don't know. I don't remember what the context of the conversation was. But I said no because I said because I feel like I said it would toughen you up and it would give you so much wisdom and character. But you would never wish that upon someone. Like I hope your girl.
I disagree. Like for me, if I've never been cheated on, but if that happened to me, I think I'd have some serious trust issues. Like I already have trust issues, but I guess teach their own, really. Like, you could probably like take a step back and learn from that, but I think that could go one of two ways.
Well, the reason why I say this is because I've been cheated on, and what it taught me, man, was it's not peaches and rainbows as they say it is in fairy tale endings, right? Like this, because I always heard about cheating and people getting cheated on, dudes cheating, girls cheating, but I never really thought it was a reality and a reality that was going to happen to me until it did. So it gave me this clarity that, oh, this is real. This is real life. That's what it kind of taught me, that real life is really happening and I'm a part of it. Like, I'm not immune to that shit. I'm not immune to a girl going out and cheating on me, right?
No one is. I mean, like, even look at, like, fucking supermodels get cheated on.
Yeah.
Like, it happens, right? And, you know, the one thing I will say, though, about, like, cheating, if you get cheated on, I think the number one thing that you need to realize, because lots of people I've noticed fall into this kind of pit of like, oh, was it me? Was it something that I did? Was it something I said? Was it, you know, you kind of do a bit of a self-pity thing, but just realize it is not your fault.
No.
It is not your fault and never was.
No, that person, they chose to do that and they made a decision.
100%.
That has nothing to do with you.
100%.
And for me, loyalty is huge. And I think it has to do with my upbringing. I am so fortunate to have two parents that are still together. They've been married for 28 years now.
Bless.
And I'm blessed with having two amazing parents. And their relationship, I think I've taken for granted because, especially now as an adult, I work with guys their age, you know, in their 50s and 60s, and their home life is a mess. But whenever I go over to my parents' house, it looks like they have been dating for like maybe 3 months. Like, they're always in that honeymoon phase.
That's awesome, though.
And when it comes to cheating, I know that none of them would ever do that. So that's like a hard line for me. If I were to ever get cheated on, I would probably never talk to that person again.
Oh, of course.
Fair.
What would constitute as cheating for you guys?
There's certain boundaries. You know what? Like, I've been in relationships before where, like, so for example, it's a little bit different. Like, if I go to the bar and I see that, you know, a guy is flirting with my girl, that's like, whatever. It depends on what
You can't control that.
Yeah, no, it depends on what she's going to do. If he buys her a drink, this and that, that's cool.
Yeah.
Get me one too, right?
Right.
Either way, I'm going home with her at the end of the night. Now, you know, we're both drunk off of your tab. Thanks, asshole.
And it makes you feel better at the end of the day. It makes you
I
feel better
appreciate
at the end of the day, you know?
It does. It does.
Knowing
I
that
want to
other
know I'm
guys
dating a
want your
hot
girl,
chick.
but she's not going to go home with them. She's only coming home to you.
100%.
No, but Mike, one little caveat for that is the guy goes and offers to buy your girl a drink.
Yeah.
It's up to her for her to accept or not.
Yeah, no, 100%. At the end of the day, that's what I mean. Like, if she respects me, she cares about me, she trusts me, and she's loyal to me, it shouldn't fucking matter. Shouldn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter exactly what goes on. She can handle. I have confidence in her that she can handle that situation. And if she does end up cheating, like I said, it wasn't my fault. That's on you, right? So, what I constitute as actual like cheating, though, obviously, if you're hanging out with dudes one-on-one, that's fine. But if I'm being real, I would like to know about it. And if I don't like that guy, like countless times, I've seen so many dudes in relationships, they go, you can tell, like, okay, this is a load of shit. If a girl and a guy are friends and you can't tell by this point that he's trying to fuck you, are you living under a rock? Are you ignorant as shit? Like, come on. If I can notice it within 5 minutes and I have a problem with it, I'm sorry, but I want you to cut him off. Now, I don't care if you can sit there, oh, that's just toxic masculinity, blah, blah. No, it's not. Like, he is there for one reason and one reason only. He's playing the waiting game. Like, it don't matter. So that's a big thing for me.
Do you think that's true, Mike, with every girl and with every guy? Like, do you think that guys and girls can be friends? Like, just friends?
I mean, I've been friends with, like, solely friends with a lot of girls. I'll be 100% honest with you. At some point, we did hook up, though. Like, the thing is I don't think, like I don't think, like, if you guys are solely just friends, and it's funny, I saw a comedian's bit on one of this. There was a bit on this, and he's laughing. He's like, guys and girls can be friends, but I just want you to know, one, he is ugly. That's why no one's
that's
making
what it really
a move.
comes down to, yeah.
Like, come on, let's be real. If you're two very attractive individuals and you are getting along, you are vibing, like you guys are the best of friends, I'm not gonna say, like, I'm not gonna think it's not unexpected. Like if you told me you hooked up, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh, that's a big fucking surprise, right?
But I don't know, man, because
I don't know. Like I
because
kind of disagree because
I was on your side. I was totally on your side for the longest time, but after recent events of what I told you, like I'm kind of 50-50 where, you know.
So I'll tell you what my take is on that. I think that attractiveness is so subjective, and I actually do think that guys and girls can be friends. You know, you talk to my friend and she's super down to earth, but it's not gonna happen. And she's seeing a guy right now and he's super cool. He knows that our friendship, it's super real and it's super genuine, but it's strictly platonic. And she's attractive. She's attractive to like a whole bunch of guys. Like there's 2 guys at the gym that go and approach her like every other day. But that's just never gonna happen between us. But I'm so grateful for our friendship because I can always go and like dump what I'm going through on her and vice versa.
The question is, do you find her attractive? Because that's what it really comes down to.
100%.
I just don't see ourselves getting to that point. I don't want to jeopardize my friendship with her because whenever it crosses that line with me, it usually goes south one way or the other. And I wouldn't want it to get to that point.
It does throw a wrench in the friendship, and it's never going to be. Well,
yeah.
It can be repaired, but takes a lot of work. Yeah.
And honestly, with me saying all that, I do think that guys and girls can be friends. I'd like to specify that. But I think it's really subjective and based upon the person, right? Like you as a guy, if you're going to be friends with a girl, if she's a very attractive girl and you find her attractive, you know, like you were saying, Avery, you kind of have to have that boundary in your mind. Am I going to cross that line? And am I going to go there? Is it worth it? Is it this, you know, like all of those things, right? But I don't know. I think it's subjective to each individual, right?
No, I agree. I think it's a matter of perspective.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because I don't know, like the thing that I just went through, like I told you guys, I solely saw her as a friend, and I thinking back on it now, I made the mistake of doing some things differently. I could have done some things differently, but yeah, like at no point, bro, like I went over to her place and she came over to my place, and at no point did I ever feel, yo, I wanna run some game. I wanna do something about this, right? Nothing at all. I just went over to her house, she came over to my house, we just chilled, had some food, called it a night. And at no point was I ever like, oh damn, I didn't go for it or this or that. We had a chill night, we had great conversation, we had a good hangout. And I didn't know I was able to do that until this person came along. And then, you know, things that did happen, and life goes on. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think talking about red flags, girl going out every weekend, see you later.
Yeah.
See you later.
The biggest thing for me is when a girl is obsessed with money. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with liking,
obsessed.
Like the only thing she talks about is, like you said, going out all the time or having expensive things, or like I was seeing this one girl that all she talked about was guys would do this. She would show me videos of guys giving her like $5,000 to go blow it gallery.
Crazy.
That's so corny though,
And
dude.
I could tell that is what she looked for in a person. And I think what turns me off is I come from very humble beginnings. My parents always give us everything that we needed, but not everything that we wanted. But we always had everything that we needed. But it instilled values like hard work and money management and time management. And I'm so grateful for growing up that way, because now I like nice things and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's more to a person than what they have. It's their morals, their values is what makes them who they am.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I mean,
not what they wear, not what they drive.
Her showing you photos of dudes giving her fucking racks. That's you're asking to be called a goof.
100%.
You're blatantly just saying I'm a clown.
She would show me like so many snapshots of her in a Bentley, or like these guys giving her $5,000 to go blow at gallery.
Bro.
And it's
some girl.
that is
some
not a
people are
flex.
really like that, which is I don't get it. I don't understand how that fucking.
because that is low key her way of saying I expect you to give me whatever I want.
Well, I think honestly, girls who are like that, if I'm being real, that's how they express that everything in their life is fine. If I'm young, attractive, and I'm surrounded by money and all the nicer things in life, everything's good, right? Like I notice a lot of the time there's a lot of insecurities hidden behind that. A lot of insecurities, a lot of like self-doubts, a lot of all kinds of shit like that. You know?
100%.
Either way. I will say though, I don't think being obsessed with money, I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. I just think it depends on exactly where you're pointing that energy. So like if you're super materialistic, yeah, then being obsessed with money in that sense is kind of like, it's corny, it's not very good. But like in my aspect, I'm obsessed with money, but I'm obsessed with money in the sense that it's going to give me the freedom to then later in my life when I have a family or relationship or anything like that, I don't have to be going and doing a 9 to 5 every single day to where, you know, I can't spend time with you, can't raise my kids. I can't like, that's why I'm so obsessed with money. So I think wherever you're pointing that energy, it can depend. But if you're sitting there going like, oh, buy me a Birkin and, you know, where's your nice car?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out. Right? Like that's ridiculous.
Like in Avery's case, that girl showing those things like, yo, I'm trying to flex that I'm that bitch, you know, I'm that.
But that has no appeal to me.
That has no. It's a repeller. It's
The
fucking
thing that
repellent.
attracts me
100%.
the most is if a girl is super genuine. She, you know, knows what she brings to the table, but she doesn't need to throw that in your face. And if she's super bubbly in conversation, that is what turns me on.
100%.
And being able to vocalize your emotions, man. I think that's the biggest thing. When if you're like if a girl's going if the girl I'm seeing or whoever is going through something and she doesn't like the way I approach something or the situation or environment we're in, and you're visibly uncomfortable, voice it, communicate. Hey Mo, I don't like this. This is overwhelming. There's a lot of people here that I don't really like. I didn't like the fact that you made this idea of us coming here. Can we please leave? Okay, now let's talk about it. Like that's cool. That's okay that you're going through these things, but don't just bottle it up and just like give me these weird looks and mannerisms of, and then because then I overthink like what the hell is going on? What are you thinking about? Why are you feeling this sort of way? Because I know something's wrong, but you're not voicing it. I hate that.
Well, it's like classic communication. It's like I was saying earlier, having that communication to then come to a compromise and understanding each other. Actually, it's funny because if you tell me those things, like you're saying, if we're in that situation, you're uncomfortable, you're not feeling it, and you tell me, I'll probably value and respect you even more in the long term because now I realize you're not afraid to tell me how you feel. You actually put your trust in me. Your
$1,000,000%.
You know, like 100%. So it works better for the whole dynamic of us altogether.
It's so simple, dude. And in that situation, that particular situation, if you were to tell me that, I would be more inclined to be like, all right, let's bounce.
100%.
Let's bounce. I care for you, and I really love the fact that you just shared that with me. Cool, let's get out of here.
100%.
Let's go do something else.
What's wild to me is when they hold it in, because I've had this happen, they hold it in, then you leave, you get in the car, and then there's that fucking blow up. And it's like, dude, why are you, and you kind of get blindsided. You're like, why are you so angry at me right now? What did I do? What happened?
You don't know how to process it.
See, I've never had that. I've never had that.
I've had that where they blow up,
it
and
too.
I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? I'm like, I didn't even know anything was wrong. You know?
Whoa.
It's crazy.
That's actually better than them just like keeping it in for the whole car ride home still, because now you're in your head like, what the fuck is going on? And then you ask them, yo, are you good? Yeah, everything's cool. But you know nothing, you know it's not cool. Something's off.
Yeah.
So that them blowing up is at least them letting it all out, but not in the best way.
No, it's not in like the best way. Like, yeah, obviously I appreciate you're still telling me you could have gone a little bit nicer about it. I'm like, yo, what the hell? What did I do? Now I'm sitting there blindsided looking like a dumbass. I'm like, you know, but all in all, yeah, it's just communication, man.
Communication. Has technology and being constantly connected made dating worse?
100%. 100%. If, like, for example, I'll use this as an example. When I'm on Tinder, I'm on Hinge, anything like that, I feel so desensitized. It's like a game. It's like hot or not, bro. I don't actually give a shit about your personality. I'm gonna be real. I don't care about your personality.
You're only on there for one thing.
You're on there for like one thing. And when you're looking at someone's photos, it's tap, 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 tap. Okay, they're hot or not. Boom, bye.
Yeah.
Tap, 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 tap. And you can say that like you might be that guy who's on there truly reading through descriptions, looking for your one. Majority of people ain't doing that. And the other problem is when you're surrounded by all these models constantly on social media, I feel like it desensitizes you to the actual reality that not many people are like that, you know? And there's editing, face tuning, all this crazy makeup, all this shit, like plastic, like, and you're seeing it constantly through your fucking phone.
You don't,
right?
I think that it affects you in a way where it's like you don't take them seriously anymore.
No, not at all, you know? And I kind of feel bad because like it takes away the value of a lot of amazing girls out there because now everyone's so obsessed with this fake goddamn life that they see through their phone.
And I can't tell you how many times where like I've matched with a girl and then I look at her Instagram and she is nothing like the idea I painted in my head.
100%.
Like, yeah, she might look similar, but from the vibe that I got off of her Instagram, it is nothing like what she's like in person.
100%.
And it just throws you off.
Right. And it also goes the other way around, vice versa. All these guys, these influencers, big top shot fucking guys, right? Oh, well, there's that guy on Instagram that has 500,000 followers. Why would I want to stay with Mo? Why would I want to stay with Avery or Mike when there's guys like that, right?
Mm-hmm. You know what, though? At the end of the day, whether you want to say it's not about that, it's about status. Right? Like you could even trace this back to like fucking primal days. You know, when you're in a pack or clan of people, the most desirable dude is the
leader of the
the
pack.
leader, the one with the highest status. Right? And in our day and age, that's just the new version of status.
It's Instagram.
It's Instagram. That's a new version of status.
Right.
So let me ask you this, and I've brought this up on another episode. You're with a girl, you're happily together for a few months, dating, you're fully official. She gets up and leaves for an NFL wide receiver. What do? Do you just accept it? Oh, well.
Honestly, yeah, no, at that point, I'd move on. Like, you know what? And it's funny because if my girl moves on to a guy who is actually a good dude, like a nice guy, like I have been in situations where no one I've necessarily dated, but I've had situationships, right? Then they move on and they go to another guy. If he's a great, awesome, nice guy and he's caring for her, because I care for her and I want the best for her, that's cool. Have your time. Do your thing.
Do you really mean that?
I do. I genuinely
But if you really mean that, though?
Genuinely mean
The one
that.
thing that I want to say is if she's jumping ship for, like you said, you know, like a linebacker, like somebody
Cowboys wide first string wide receiver.
Okay, so if she's willing to like jump ship for that, so now he knows, okay, I can pull this girl for basically no effort at all. You know, you move on to the next person. You're going to find somebody genuine, and then she's going to be dumped within like the end of the week because he knows he can pull his girls that fast.
Then that sucks.
Yeah,
Maybe
for her. And then she'll realize, oh, well, I had such a great guy at Avery this whole time.
She comes groveling back, you tell her to kick rocks.
No, exactly. But that's what I mean. Like, if depends on the situation. If he's like an actual guy who's genuine, really cares for, you know, things like that, I'm cool. That's awesome. I just want the best for you because I care about you. So you can move on.
You won't be salty at any point a little bit?
I'll only be salty if that guy's an asshole. If he treats her like shit or treats me like shit, talks badly about any one of like her, me, or anything like that. If he has no respect for the fact that she has a past, that there was someone else, you know, anything like that, then we might have a bit of an issue. We're going to have a problem, right? Like, for example, like my ex, all of her exes, oh my God, there's times I sit there and I'm like, I would go to jail right now. This guy's an asshole. Like, I hate this guy. But if she found a guy that's like a genuine nice guy, yeah, obviously there might be a little sense of jealousy, like a little bit, but that's not on them. That's on me, right? So if I want to elevate to a potential higher status, it's like I told you, always going back. It's hard work. You got to dedicate yourself to yourself. You got to work on yourself. And like, if you're working on yourself and you're being the best possible version of yourself for that person, you did everything you could, right? And if they still leave you anyways to move on to someone else, then that's not on you.
It's so much easier said than done.
It is.
Dude.
It is.
That acceptance piece.
It is.
I'm very impressed that you're at that point.
It's a very mature
at the
way
age
to look
you
at
are
things.
too.
It's a very mature way to look at it.
Very mature.
It's the only way you kind of can look at it. Like I would
No, like for me, I look at it from a different lens. Like maybe that's why I'm not really friends with girls that like I've hooked up with and it fizzled out, because if a girl decides to leave, I'm done. All right. Just, move on to the next. Like I know my worth, and I know that it's just a matter of time before I meet somebody new.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think honestly, in your life, you should do everything from a perspective of love, and that's really easier said than done. Like, because there's sometimes, like my most recent example with the relationship I was just kind of in and out of. There were moments where I sat there and I was bitter. When I was by myself and I was going through it and thinking some thoughts, I was bitter. I was angry. I was pissed off that the situation wasn't working out in my favor, wasn't doing anything like that. But you know what? I sat there and I was like, okay, I really have to take a step back and think about this now. Like, why do I feel that way? To sit there and truly accept someone for who they are and come from a place of love, and maybe they need to grow. Maybe they need to do this. Maybe they need to do that, right? For you as a person, it's not worth it to harbor all that negative energy. It's not worth it to be that angry, because at the end of the day, you will move on. You will find something else. You'll find a better tomorrow, right? So it keeps you locked up in that situation. And I also think it gives your power away as an individual. As soon as you let someone start dictating how you feel and making you angry or holding like grudges or holding all these like resentment, now they're in control of how you feel. I don't want anyone in control of how I feel. I choose to be happy for me, and I choose to love everyone and everything for me and the benefit of my life, right? So if you're going to move on, I wish you the best and in peace and in love.
But I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head for that. Like, there's not much I can add.
You know what's crazy, Mike? They can sense it too when you're trying to put on this act of, I'm tougher than you think. I'm gonna play this role of I'm a tough guy, or you didn't do shit to me. You ain't shit to me. This and that.
Yeah,
that actually comes off a little bit weaker, and they can sense it.
It's such a turn off too.
Yeah.
No, it is 100%. You can tell, and it's like that immature bravado is all based out of insecurity. Like, it's not. You're obviously not confident with yourself. If you really were confident with yourself, I mean, like, who the fuck cares, right? Like, who cares? But if you're gonna sit there and get all fucking pressed about it, and trying to act hard as shit, clearly someone's getting to you. Clearly it's really chipping away and bugging you. So, they can tell.
Good talk, man. Great talk.
That was
100%
good.
voice.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man. It's just we just gotta have self-respect. That's what it all really comes down to at the end of the day.
Yeah, knowing your worth and knowing how you decide to be treated, and in time, the person that is willing to put in that effort for you will come, and you'll be able to build a connection, and it'll blossom into something beautiful.
But you gotta allow that to happen, right?
100%.
You gotta allow it and understand that not everyone is like the person you were seeing before, or the toxic person that was giving you all those issues, right? I think that's the biggest thing for a lot of guys. For me too, is like I kind of shine that light on everyone after it happens. Like, oh, everyone's like that. This is what's expected. This is just human nature, right? But it's not really the case. I mean, there are good people out there, and that's something I've been trying to preach to myself.
The good ones will stick around. The good ones will always stick around. Maybe like even if you don't hear from them every day, or maybe like I have friends, for example, I see maybe like every couple months. I talk to every once in a while, but I still value and I love them deeply. They're just doing their own thing, right? And I'm doing my own thing. So in that sense,
it's always love.
It's always love, right? The good ones will stick around no matter what.
Can't say any better than that. All right, man. Let's call it. Peace.